Hi. So, something really awkward happened to me, like, a year ago. How do I even talk about it? It's really uncomfortable because, like, basically, I was just walking along one day, and I fell into a hole. A big gay hole. Okay, but jokes aside, I started a gender transition a year ago. Uh, yeah, for real. Like with hormones and everything. So, given that it's been a year, I was thinking, well, what, the heck? Why don't we talk about that thing that happened? Because, like, this is my YouTube channel. I can talk about the things that are important to me. And being trans is pretty... So, little recap. About a year ago, I released a video called The Truth, where I wore a really tacky hat and I put on really bad makeup, and I said that I was transgender in front of 80,000 people. But also, I said it in front of my family. And also, I said it in front of my friends. And also, I said it to everybody at the same time. Which was a fucking nightmare. Yep. My entire family all saw the video at the same time, and they all called me at the same time on the same day. I didn't like it.
No, baby
didn't like it. It was alarming for a lot of people. What? But I thought, no, it turns out, nope. Okay, that didn't make any sense. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people came out to show support, and I was absolutely blown away. I will admit, the reason that it took me so long to come out about this was because I didn't think I would be supported. I looked around at everybody on the internet, in YouTube comments, and all over goddamn Facebook, and, you know, your mom's weird friends, and all of that, and just kind of assumed that that would be a bad idea and everyone would hate me. And to an extent, that did come true. However, on the day that I published that video, which was just called The Truth, I got overwhelming support from friends and family and subscribers, and it felt unbelievable. I did not sleep that night. I published the video, I laid in bed, and 4 hours passed without me looking at the phone, and then when I finally looked again, I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of positive comments, and I read every single one, and to this day I have still read every single comment on that video. Thousands of them. Sometimes when I'm sad, I go back to that video and I read those comments again. Since then, things got weird. And by weird, I mean, well, a lot of people were very supportive at first, but then you'd see the same people that were supportive at first start to slowly kind of go, oh, wait, are you serious? Oh, and then as I was more and more serious about it, things started to kind of go on a little bit of a downward spiral. I don't know if you know this, but when things go on a downward spiral, it's very hard to, like, pull yourself back out of that and, you know, start being creative and fun, like my job demands. So I got kinda depressed for a long time because I was losing thousands and thousands of subscribers, and I can guarantee that on both this and like the next video and probably the previous video, I have lost hundreds to thousands of subscribers each video. That's just how it is. And at first this was incredibly depressing, given that I had worked like for years and years to build my YouTube channel, and then to slowly watch people walk away was heartbreaking. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that I am trans. Like, exclusively, end of sentence. I'm trans and I'm not apologizing for that. I'm not making jokes about, you know, my body for your entertainment, really, which has led a lot of people to kind of not like me very much. And in that time, I have experienced a lot of things that I would say is like if you want to be accepted by people for being, you know, some kind of queer, you've got to make jokes at your expense. You've got to belittle yourself, and you've got to never, ever, 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 ever talk about your identity. Never, ever, 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 ever. In the time since I've come out, I refuse to do that, and I still refuse to do that. I am who I am, and I am not ashamed of that. And that does inform my perspective on everything. So how am I supposed to not? Now we're a year later, and things have changed. I look at myself and I go, hey, way to go. Super duper. Which is very exciting. So I figured I'd tell you a little bit about that. So I'm a year on hormones as of like a month ago. So this isn't exactly the same, but I am filming this video like 7 days after the first video is published. So go me. And hormones, as it turns out, does a lot of stuff to your body. And I'm not going to outline exactly all the things that entails. I think that the differences will become quite apparent if you watch the first video and then this one side by side. You will go, oh, look at that. Looky there. That's different. So that's all you really need to know about my physical transition. But as far as like the social transition, that's been a little bit weirder. That's been a little bit rocky. That's been a little bit strange. So here's a list of some anecdotes, and I know you're thinking, oh good, a trans person complaining about how society has rejected her, and there will be a little of that, but actually it's kind of awesome sometimes too, so that's worth mentioning. One time I was at the mall working a shitty mall job where all my colleagues, my coworkers, they all called me by my name and pronouns, which was awesome. But one time I was having lunch at that shitty job, and I was out in the food court when an old woman walked up and said, "You look so cute," and she gave me a hug. That was a really good moment in my life. Thanks, old lady. I hope you don't die yet. Oh. However, one time, same mall, I went to Panda Express with my girlfriend, and the employees misgendered me and talked shit to us. The employees did that to us. So we were like, well, we're not gonna take this anymore. So we called Panda Express and we were like, hey, Panda Express, this sucks. Why did this happen to us? And Panda Express was like, here's a free cookie. It was Pride Month, so they were like, oh, cool. Here's a cookie for you. We never got our cookie, though. Which is true. So fuck you, Panda Express, is my point. Something I realized last winter was when all the muscle on your body quickly leaves, you start getting really cold. And I don't mean like really cold, I mean like really cold. Like, oh god, I'm a skeleton wearing nothing. I'm going to die. One thing I've learned is that I have to wear cardigans all the time. And I live in Texas. Another thing that happened was because that I started taking my body back from the world per se. I started taking hormones and everything, so I was like, my body is mine to do with what I want. I started to get into tattooing quite a lot. But another thing was that, like, I'm an artist, and I come from an art background, and I have an art degree. Why don't I try to do that for myself? So this tattoo here, I did myself. And also many of my tattoos. I got really into that. It was really fun, and the supplies were really cheap, and it's super fulfilling, and it feels like I'm taking my body back for myself, which is really cool. Another thing I learned is that, like, often, like, being, like, super militant with people isn't the best way to do things. I know that seems weird, but, like, for instance, with my mom, who I passionately love my mom. Like, she's a sweet, sweet person who I desperately love. there for a while, I was being pushed into these directions where, like, in order to get her to align with my name and pronouns, I would have to yell at her all the time and get mad at her, which I didn't really do. I didn't feel comfortable doing that, but other people really wanted me to do that. I instead didn't, and, like, just was visible and wore what I wanted and was nice until she finally just kind of like treats me the way I wanted. And now I just have that now. And it feels really good. So, turns out being trans can actually make you have a better relationship with your family. Bitch! I do think that there's also this big thing in trans discourse about, like, the prevalence of, like, dysphoria making people trans, and then dysphoria being this horrible thing. You see the word dysphoria all the time. Dysphoria, dysphoria, dysphoria. The great thing about transitioning is not really getting rid of dysphoria, but it's like the times when you actually feel a little bit of euphoria for who you are, and then that starts to build up more and more over time, where you start to kind of become more comfortable with yourself. And generally that's where I'm at now, where there were a lot of things about myself that I was unwilling to accept, or things that I was unwilling to try, or like I just wasn't listening to my body. Now I'm a lot more willing to do that, and like there are things about myself that I kind of love now, where before it was like nothing. A lot of the things that I did before were like microscopic acts of transgressions against myself, but like nowadays I feel like I take care of myself and I don't let people push me around, and I am the best version of myself that I've ever been. Like, I accept that, and of course there are always good days and bad days, but for the most part I think that highlighting the fact that, like, trans people have dysphoria and dysphoria is bad and we have to get rid of dysphoria is almost the wrong way to talk about it, because, like, I have a lot of dysphoria, but when people saw how happy I was after coming out, like, when people saw the euphoria, like, it was in my fucking eyes, like, everybody could see it, that I was better and I was happier and things were just more natural. That did a lot more for progress and for people's perception of me than, like, back when I was trying to tell them that I was in pain. It's almost like that thing in Old Boy, where if you laugh, the world laughs with you, but if you cry alone. It was sort of like that. So, I don't know, I do think we need to talk about gender euphoria a lot more. Like, being happier with yourself and being happier in your perception of how other people perceive you. And that's sort of where we are now, but it's time to talk about more of that. People perceiving you is kind of a big thing, and like, while a lot of my self-perception is getting better, a lot of the way that other people perceive me is still also really bad. Because generally, I'm a pretty happy person, and generally, I'm a pretty nice person. I think if you ask just about any of my friends, if I would do anything for them, I would do literally anything for them at any given time, and, like, I'm always happy to see them, and I love my friends, and I love my family, and I love the people that are close to me. However, like, strangers think I am scum. Like, strangers very often treat me like I'm an idiot, or like a bitch, or like a monster, or like I am unapproachable or intimidating, or I could go on. But the point is, like, I'm none of those things, but that seems to be the perception, and a lot of that comes down to, like, what people think of when they think of a trans person. And I've realized that there is, like, a lot of politicizing to this that goes beyond just being trans. Like, I can't, there is no such thing as just being a trans person in 2019. You have to be a trans person, but you also have to be politically active, and you have to fight for who you are. You can't just be this. You have to fight it. Like, you have to fight all the time, every single day. Every single day on the internet and in public, I am harassed, ridiculed, made fun of, mistreated, and that is not a joke. Every single day. And, like, honestly, I think this is why we, as trans people, like, there is so much discourse about passing. When transitioning should be about gender euphoria and feeling good about who you are, a lot of the time, it's about trying to navigate that, like, scary, awful social, like, wall that is put up. Like, trying to figure out how to cross over and become a normal person. And the thing is, I don't, like, want to look normal. I'm not trying to fit in any sort of way. I accepted my weirdness long ago. However, a general level of acceptance of people that are weird is something that we've been fighting forever, and we're going to continue to fight. The one thing that I've realized too is that there are so many trans people. They're everywhere, and a lot of them are super caring, and a lot of them have a lot of strong opinions and are politically active and are doing important work. All of them experience the same things that I experience. Like, all of them experience harassment. All of them experience bigotry. It's all out there. I feel weird when I say things like, we have to do something, because honestly, we do have to do something. Like, eventually things have to change. Things have to get better for everybody. But until then, the only thing that we can change really is ourselves, and I'm still changing every day. I'm still trying to change every day. I'm still trying to get rid of a lot of the things that are inside of me that I don't want there. I think that's a pretty universal message that goes beyond just somebody transitioning. I think everybody is experiencing a very similar level of trying to purge yourself of the things that you don't want inside of you. I don't want to talk about being harassed all the time. I don't want to constantly be at everybody's throats like that. It is real, it is a thing, and I think me, as someone who has a platform, absolutely has to bring up that it is real. It is something that we experience. And is that the cat? Come here, kitty! Baby girl, come here. Come here. Come here. The people at home want to see you. The people at home want to meet you. Yeah. Look what we got here. Hello, baby. Hello. Oh my god. This is Cindy, by the way. I don't know if you've met Cindy yet. I had Cindy in a previous video, but look at her. She's so precious. I love you. Say it back. So, I don't know, that cat derailed my point, but basically what I'm saying is just, like, it's important that we bring up that harassment is definitely a problem, and I have more, like, cis viewers than I have trans viewers. Like, I have a lot more cis people in my audience, and I know that a lot of them have, changed their perceptions because of me, and have opened up a lot because of me, and that's great. But also, like, I know that it can be really confusing for people that are, like, cis and don't know how to navigate all of this stuff. I got a cat hair in my mouth. Yeah, you can go. That's fine. You just come over and you just dump hair all over me.
That'll be a fun moment in the editing.
Yeah, love it. So cis people at home, fear not. Nobody, like, is mad at you or anything, like, for being who you are. Like, honestly, that's what we all want, is just to be who we are. However, I can give you some tips. Like, be really courteous about name and pronouns. That is a lot more affirming than saying, "You go, girl," every time somebody posts a picture. Every time I'm out with people that are cis, they're like, "Oh, you're fucking, no, quit it. Stop that. I know. I'm fine. Another thing is, like, it's okay to accidentally occasionally misgender people. It happens. Like, no one's mad at you for that, especially if it's, like, friends or family. It happens. The fact that you show that you're dedicated to stopping that happening is a lot more important than, like, getting it right 100% of the time. However, try your best to get it right 100% of the time. And if you do, like, fuck it up, don't spend forever about it. Like, don't linger on it in your head, because, like, we don't want to talk about it. Just, like, correct it and move on. And then we're good. That's all. Also, I know that you respect trans people, and that's great, but maybe don't tell them that when they're eating hamburgers. One time we were eating hamburgers, and a woman walked over to tell us how much she respected trans people for 15 fucking minutes. And that was awesome. So don't do that. Another thing is, when you see two trans people leaving the post office, maybe don't run up to them and have a 15-minute conversation with them out in the middle of the hot sun.
And ask to get a picture.
And ask to get a picture. Oh, that's another thing. Don't ask trans people for pictures. I think it's okay because, like, a lot of my fans are like, can I get a picture? That's fine. But, no photos, please. Thank you. If you just are like, hey, look, Tran, and then take picture, that's weird. That's weird, dude. Don't do that. And that concludes tips for the cis. Overall, I mean, this video ended up being a lot goofier than I wanted to, and also sad, and also, like, kind of, like, lingering on the misery stuff. Maybe a little bit too much, and maybe a little too informative, and maybe a little all that. But the point that I want to drive home is that everything that's happened, all the harassment, all the, like, subscribers that have left, all the people that are constantly telling me how shit I am, like, it doesn't matter. It hasn't stopped me. It's not going to stop me. And, like, my life is 100 million times better now than it was before, even though I am harassed all the time. Like, it doesn't matter. My life is 100,000 times better just because I am who I am. And this should have come a lot earlier in the video, but people that are pre-transition, people that are just starting to transition, a lot of people have come to me and told me that I'm, like, a role model for that, and a lot of people have asked me for advice. I get asking me that, but do remember that I don't know fucking anything. Like, I don't know. I'm also doing this in a very confusing time, in a very confusing way, in a very confusing part of the world. And, like, I might not have the answers that you're looking for, and you might just have to find them yourself. And honestly, I think you should do that. The thing is, when I was starting to transition, I was horrified of anyone finding out. Inevitably, when everybody found out, everything was better. Like, everything was fine. And, like, it all ended up fine. A year later, I'm enough myself to deal with, like, the blows that the world throws at me. I can take it. I'm fine. I'm strong now. I think that a lot of the time when I was terrified, it was more that I was scared of being perceived as weak than I was scared of being perceived as a woman. Because, honestly, like, being a woman is a pretty strong fucking thing. It's a really strong fucking thing. Remember that there's power in all of this. You should embrace that power, especially the power that's in yourself, because you will eventually, and, like, the sooner you do it, the better for you. Another thing is, like, my DMs are open on Twitter all the time, anytime. If you ever need to reach out to me, if anything is ever going on, if you need guidance, advice, fucking anything, I am impartial and I will hear you. I will listen to you. Over the last year, I have, like, met probably 1,000 trans people on the internet and talked to them, and, like, I'm pretty cool with getting random DMs in the middle of the night, people asking how they move out of their house or how they talk to their parents. Like, I'm perfectly okay answering those questions. Feel free to do so. But also remember that, my advice isn't going to be perfect, and I, am also still figuring it out. The last thing I want to mention is that I have had tremendous help in the last couple months, and I want to give a quick shout out to my girlfriend Azriel.
I don't have makeup on.
I don't care. Come here.
Oh. Hi.
She's a wonderful person who's great, and I love her. She makes me laugh all the time, like constantly, 100% of the time, and we have fun all the time. But also, she's like remarkably serious and helpful, and she's really good with my family, and she's really good with my friends, and she encourages me to have friends. And honestly, like, a big part of me getting back into like taking YouTube more seriously and not caring about the harassment and continuing to work through it, a lot of that is stuff that I've learned from her. So I fucking love you.
I fucking love you.
So in conclusion, I'm gay.
In conclusion, we're lesbians.
Yeah, so there's some more truth for you. Oh god, what's happened?
You have cat hair.
I have cat hair on my face.
All over your face.
Oh my god.
Oh Jesus,
What
the
the
anamorph
fuck is-
process
The
has
anamorph. The anamorph. Somebody photoshopped me turning into a fucking cat. Oh god, nope.
Nope.
That's some furry bullshit.
That's not getting in the video.
Oh, that's going in the video, but that's some furry bullshit. We better not go there.
I guess also, even though I have been a last minute inclusion in the video that I did not exactly expect to be in, I guess the same statement of open ability and vulnerability is the truth for me, because I guess I haven't been approached by many people asking for advice about transition, mostly because I haven't really had a platform or haven't had many people who knew who I was. But if you think that I could help you with any form of knowledge or knowing anything about growing into the person that you actually are from being a person that you're not, my Twitter DMs are also always open.
So to sort of end off, there's one more little thing. I kind of want to hear from the community that's still here. I want to hear from the people that have been here over the last year. Like, what do you like that I'm doing? What do you want more of? What do you think I should be trying in the future? What are some new exciting things that I haven't done that I should try to do on this YouTube channel? What is stuff that's important that you would like to hear? I want to start leaning my channel into that direction and into new and exciting avenues and new things all the time. I would love to hear from you. Please leave a comment if you can about sort of your perspective on that. And I will see you very soon. We have a lot of things coming up. But thank you so much for supporting me over the last year. It's been unbelievable. I honestly, one could write a book about all the shit that's happened in the last year. I love you. And I actually mean that. Like, y'all have really been here for me when things were low. And a lot of you probably feel uncomfortable reaching out to me and uncomfortable talking about a lot of the things that make you vulnerable. But you have to realize that I came to you when I needed it. When I needed you, I came to you a lot of times. Like, you were always there. So it's honestly the least I could do. I owe you that. Thank you. Good night. Hello, child. I forgot to shoot this part, so here we are. I have a GoFundMe set up to help me with my transition. It turns out that being trans is expensive, especially if you ever want any kind of surgical help, which I do. That would be really good. Really cool. Someone said I should try for it, so I'm trying for it. It would be an enormous thing in my life. It would drastically improve the quality of my life, like that fast. So please go to the description and check out the link to the GoFundMe and support if you can. But I mean, only if you can, only if you want to. It would dramatically and drastically improve my life and make me a lot happier. I already have some consultations set up to see if I can get something in that vein. So I'm looking into it, and it's very stressful and scary. The scariest part is definitely the financial part. So any help there would be absolutely amazing. So yeah, thank you. I love you and goodbye.